Dr. Zixthor's crystalline appendages trembled as the analysis completed. The Galactic Council's lead xenobiologist had examined thousands of species in his 3 centuries of service. But nothing, absolutely nothing, had prepared him for this. The laboratory fell silent as the holographic display materialized above the examination table. 2 humans sat patiently in the observation chamber. Megan Chen, a botanist with warm brown eyes and an easy smile, and Jeremy Torres, an engineer whose laugh had charmed half the station's crew in the week since their arrival. "Impossible," Zixthor whispered, his translator struggling with the inflection of existential dread. His assistant, a young Verdani named Sila, peered at the results. "Sir, what's wrong?" "Everything." Zixthor's eye stalks focused on the data streams. "Everything about them is wrong." The humans had arrived on the Concordant Station as representatives of Earth, a newly discovered world seeking membership in the Galactic Council. They seemed perfect, peaceful, curious, eager to learn. Megan had already helped salvage 3 dying ecosystems in the station's botanical gardens. Jeremy had improved the efficiency of their oxygen recyclers by 18%. But the DNA told a different story. Their cellular structure. Zixthor pulled up a magnified view. "Look at this. Their mitochondria are separate organisms that were absorbed and weaponized. Their cells don't just survive damage. They're programmed for warfare." Sila's scales paled. That's not possible in a naturally evolved species." "It gets worse." Zixthor expanded another section. "Their immune system. By the ancestors, their immune system." He gestured frantically at the display. "It doesn't just defend, it learns. It adapts, it remembers. It's a biological arms race contained within a single organism." The data continued to scroll. Each revelation was more disturbing than the last. "Their blood," Zixthor continued, his voice rising, "carries oxygen using iron-based hemoglobin. Do you understand what that means? Iron. One of the most reactive elements. Their bodies are coursing with controlled oxidation at every moment. They're literally slow burning from the inside, using it for energy." Sila pulled up the musculoskeletal data and gasped. "Sir, their muscle tissue. The fast twitch fibers, these are explosive force generators. And their bones, they're not just structural, they're factories, producing millions of warriors every second." "Blood cells," Zixthor confirmed grimly. "Armies of them." A notification chimed. The psychological profile had completed. Zixthor opened it and felt his tertiary heart skip a beat. No. What? Their neurochemistry. They have a built-in reward system for persistence hunting. Do you know what that means? They experience pleasure from exhausting prey to death. And this. He pointed at a cluster of data. They have a stress response that increases their performance. Pain makes them stronger. Fear makes them faster. Sila was backing away from the console. "We need to alert security." "Wait." Zixthor pulled up the comparative analysis he'd run against the database. I cross-referenced their world's ecosystem. The hologram shifted, displaying Earth's evolutionary tree. Zixthor felt sick. "They're from a Class 12 death world. Look at their Jing competitors. Everything on their planet is designed to kill. Microorganisms that dissolve flesh, plants that produce toxins, animals with venom, claws, fangs. Their own food fights back in their digestive system. They've been at war with their environment for 4 million years. How did they survive? They didn't just survive, they won. They're the apex predator of a planet where everything is an apex predator." Zixthor pulled up another file. "Their cognitive abilities evolved for pack hunting. They can predict behavior, form complex strategies, communicate abstract concepts. They even have a special neurological response for cooperation during high-stress situations." A soft knock on the laboratory door made both scientists jump. "Dr. Zixthor?" Megan's voice came through the intercom. "Is everything okay?" "We've been waiting for 3 hours." Zixthor and Sila stared at each other in panic. "We should be fine," Jeremy added cheerfully. "But Megan's getting hungry, and trust me, you don't want to see her when she hasn't eaten." Zixthor's appendages trembled. The analysis had flagged the human metabolic rate. They needed to consume other life forms every few hours, or their bodies would begin cannibalizing themselves. "Perhaps," Sila whispered, "we're misinterpreting the data." Zixthor pulled up the final analysis, the one he'd been dreading. Their capacity for violence versus their capacity for empathy. The graph appeared. 2 lines that should have been inversely proportional. They weren't. Both lines were off the scale. They're not just capable of extreme violence, Zixthor said slowly. They're equally capable of extreme compassion. The same neural pathways that make them efficient killers also make them bond with other species. The same persistence that makes them pursuit predators also makes them loyal friends. The same pattern recognition that makes them strategic threats makes them natural teachers. He looked through the observation window at Megan and Jeremy, who were chatting and laughing, completely unaware of the existential crisis they'd triggered. So what do we do? Sela asked. Zixthor was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he began deleting the report. Sir, think about it, Sela. They're the galaxy's most perfect predator wrapped in the galaxy's most social species. They're a biological weapon that chose friendship over conquest. They could have dominated their planet through violence, but instead, they built civilizations. They domesticated other species not to eat them. But as companions, he finished wiping the analysis, leaving only the standard compatible for council membership form. We're going to approve them, Zixthor said firmly. Because any species that evolved in hell and chose kindness anyway is exactly the kind of ally we need. Besides, he glanced at the observation window where Megan was showing Jeremy pictures of her cat on her datapad, both of them cooing over the small predator they'd invited into their homes. I'd rather have them as friends than enemies. Sela nodded slowly. Should we warn the council? About what they really are? Zixthor considered this. No. Let them discover humanity the way we did, through their actions, not their biology. After all, isn't that what they'd want for us? He pressed the approval authorization and the door to the observation chamber unlocked. Megan and Jeremy walked out, smiling. So, Jeremy asked, did we pass? Dr. Zixthor managed what he hoped was a confident gesture. Welcome to the Galactic Council, humans. Welcome indeed. As the two humans left, chattering excitedly about celebrating with something called pizza, Sela turned to her mentor. You know they're going to find out eventually. What we are. What everyone in the galaxy really is. Zixthor's eye stalks drooped wearily. Yes, and when they do, they'll probably just want to help. That's the terrifying part. He looked at the deleted files one last time. Humanity, a biological weapon masquerading as a friendly species. Or perhaps, he thought, a friendly species that just happened to be an indestructible force of nature. Either way, the galaxy would never be the same.